Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. If you were tuning in to find out who the next Chief Minister of Karnataka is going to be, well, we can tell you that it now seems to be a real tussle with no announcement at the moment. It was expected today by now. The possibility now of a deal being struck to accommodate the interests of both Mr. Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar cannot be ruled out. We aren't saying it's necessarily happening, but it can't be ruled out. It does appear, per sources, that DK Shivakumar is absolutely clear. There's no question of being denied. Where is this all headed? And given the disagreements between the two in the past, was this sort of situation almost inevitable? But next up on the show at 1:30 with PVR Inox, the multiplex giants announcing a whopping 333 crore loss, the debate on whether the days of watching movies at cinemas may be ending is once again back in the news, with OTT platforms doing so well. But those in the business, including Ajay Bijli, the MD of PVR Inox, insist that there is no replacing the cinema. He joins me at 9:30 p.m. as we debate whether video on demand may kill movie theatres. But first, the confusion in Karnataka. It's all being played out over here in Delhi at the residence of Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president, who's going to be the chief minister. Both leaders, as you can see, quite literally in that picture, eyeing the seat, DK Shivakumar and Mr. Siddaramaiah. We're joined by Aarti Jairath, Shama Mohammed of the Congress Party, Captain Ganesh Karnik of the BJP. We're joined by TM Veera Raghav, my colleague, and we'll be joined by Manisha Priyam as well shortly. But Shama, let me come to you first. I know you're going to hedge your bets, my friend, but as I prepare for that, do tell me this. Was there an expectation that it would be announced today, this evening?
You know, Vishnu, I fail to understand this excitement.
Of course there's excitement, Shama. Aren't you excited?
Let me finish. See, there are other parties who have won, like the BJP. I mean, in 2017, I remember the UP elections victory was announced, and they took a long time to announce who their CM candidate. After the Assam elections, again took a week to announce who their CM will be. Then we had the subversion of democracy in Maharashtra. The cabinet formation took almost a month. So you see, I fail to understand why there's so much interest. We will take our time. We had an emphatic victory. That should be the talk. How did the Congress party defeat the Bharatiya Janata Party when the Prime Minister himself was campaigning with so much of polarization and hatred, using even the Kerala story? What you should speak today is why I didn't hear any debate on what happened in Manipur, 60 people dead.
No, but Shama, respectfully, you haven't answered my question.
My answer is...
No. Was there an expectation that this would be announced today? That's my question. Because they've come over here, they've met Mr. Kharge, Rahul Gandhi ji has been speaking to a lot of people, etc., etc. So, is this going to happen tomorrow?
See, I will not commit to anything. We are a party which comes out with a consensus. We are a democratic party. We don't give orders and adesh from the top, like, change the CM all of a sudden. We are not that sort of party. You will get to hear when it happens. I don't know what's the excitement. All these journalists outside Mr. Kharge's house, as if there's nothing happening in the Bharatiya Janata Party. Please go and see what's happened to Manipur. How many Christian churches have been burnt out there? What is basically, they started out as what they are. They're building another laboratory, what they did in Gujarat.
Shama, you are nicely deflecting over there, and I have to interrupt. I mean, we can certainly discuss Manipur in a separate context. Captain Ganesh Karnik, do you accept that argument of the Congress party that, look, we won the elections and we will decide leaders when the time is right? Why should anybody get ahead of themselves?
Vishnu, good evening to you and greetings to all my co-panelists, and congratulations to Ms. Shama for the wonderful victory in Karnataka. To be frank, it's their party's internal affair, and they may take little more time. But since this issue has come up and the differences have come out in the open, but don't you think it was known? They had a solid difference from the very beginning, the day Mr. Shivakumar took over as the president. Since then, till election, the differences was very evident. And during the election time, there was a patch-up. They went around together as one team, and they brought out a very spectacular result. But immediately after result, the differences come out in the open. Mr. DK Shivakumar has made it very candid and very clear that nothing less than Chief Minister's post. And Mr. Siddaramaiah says, I have got maximum number of MLA support. I think you asked a question to Shama, but I don't think this will end in tonight and tomorrow morning we'll have a good news. This will go on for a little while, but it's an internal affair. But I would agree with Shama that it is just about 2 days after the results. They may take a little more time to settle down with the issue. It's a democratic process. They've got a substantial number, and there is absolutely no confusion about forming a government on their own. So let them take their own time and settle down with this issue. It's as simple as that. And as a political party, as a responsible political party, we compliment them, and we assure you we'll be a responsible opposition, and we will see how things develop in the due course of time.
That's a very gracious response, and we do hope that, as a responsible opposition, it all works in favor of people in that state. Veera Raghav, so shall we start speculating, since Shama is not going to help us out, if there is a formula, what is it going to be, Veera Raghav?
I have no idea, Vishnu. I think that's pretty much the problem for the Congress as well. It's trying to work every kind of formula out. Look, it's a battle of wits, I would assume, at the moment. I don't think anyone is willing to relent that easily. DK Shivakumar is unwilling to relent easily. While I think the clear front runner, and since yesterday, the clear front runner was seen to be Siddaramaiah, it's the question of whether DK Shivakumar is going to relent. They cannot have an impression of dissent within the party or unhappiness in the party. So I think it's going to take time to work this one out. There are several formulas that has been floated across by different observers, but I think ultimately at the moment it's first a question of are you willing to relent, and then you can work the formula out. I think that's where it is at the moment.
Manisha Priya, what if DK Shivakumar doesn't relent?
That's what it appears to me, that he's not relenting. That's the surprise, because everybody thought that the simpler option was that he mobilized everything for the party. He built it bit by bit. He got the warring factions together. Much of the resources were rustled by him, whether of any nature. He went to jail. He's the one who never left the side of the party. He's never had the central high command as a ransom of sorts. He never asserted himself. So everybody believed that this would be one more occasion when he would just take the command from the high command, and whoever is asserting themselves more will be given the bigger pie. It was also believed that a lot of MLAs were backing Siddaramaiah, but that's something that the DK Shivakumar camp challenges, and they say no, this is not correct, and in fact DK Shivakumar is not going to relent. That evening when DK Shivakumar was not here, we were told that his brother Mr. DK Suresh was here and that DK Shivakumar would also go, which has happened now. So it's very clear that he is not relenting. It's not about, and I don't think any rotational formula will work. So the clear decision will be either track one, that Sidda becomes the chief minister and the deputy chief minister without anybody else there, no representational accommodation, is DK Shivakumar with important portfolios, or the off chance could be that DK will have to be taken in from the word go. But that will leave Siddaramaiah is not going to be number 2 to DK. So that will then be an open question. So while one seems to be more probable, more logical, DK Shivakumar is still asserting, and his camp says that he is not giving in anytime soon. What we don't hear from DK Shivakumar is any anti-party statements or anything that is supposedly against the high command. We don't hear all that. He said in a television channel interview yesterday that, you people do not understand what the party means for me. For me, I can never be somebody who leaves the party and goes away. I've never been like that. I'm not that kind of a person. Yep. So within the party at this point of time, very strong claims being stoked also by DK Shivakumar.
Okay. Aarti, will the Congress actually be considering the various equations? For example, DK Shivakumar and the fact that he's been a strong Voka Liga leader, he's had a big impact presumably in these elections, whereas Mr. Siddaramaiah and the Ahinda or social coalition which the Congress formed in Karnataka, he's obviously brought that in. Are these factors as well? Because you cannot alienate either leader because of what they bring in, right, into the state.
No, absolutely. And then, as you know, the Lingayat seers have also staked a claim saying that some 37, MLAs of the Congress are Lingayats, and therefore there should be a Lingayat chief minister. So, I mean, there are all kinds of competing claims coming in. The very fact is, Vishnu, after this kind of a victory, neither Siddaramaiah nor DK Shivakumar can really rock the boat. Because if they do rock the boat, they will earn the wrath of voters and the people. And it's not going to be good for them politically. So, I feel that somehow there will be some kind of a compromise. It may take a day or two to work out, but ultimately there will be a compromise. As I think Shama pointed out, that in UP it took the BJP a whole week to, reach this compromise on Yogi Adityanath. So give them time. I think what is more important than, getting the compromise through, which I think will happen, is that the High Command needs to be constantly monitoring, the equations in Karnataka, so that they are not caught unawares like they were in Rajasthan when Sachin Pilot suddenly launched his rebellion, or Jyotiraditya Scindia launched his rebellion in Madhya Pradesh. This is something that the, High Command, these are rebellions that the High Command should have anticipated if they had kept their ear to the ground and been more vigilant about the problems in the state. So I think really what is important is, once you take a decision, you have to keep monitoring, you have to be in constant touch with the leaders, you have to be in constant touch with the MLAs, you have to know what is going on in the state so that you can nip a problem in the bud before it becomes a major, rebellion, or, becomes a major, sort of festers into a major war.
Aarti, are we headed to a major rebellion? Because it's all quite polite right now.
That's right. I'm talking about later. Even Sachin Pilot did not rebel immediately.
No.
He rebelled, I think, about 2 years after the government was in place. Okay. Jyotiraditya Scindia also rebelled about a year and a half after the government was put in place. So, these are things that will happen later. Right now, can either of them rebel when the Congress has 135 seats?
Unlikely.
And there is a clear mandate for the Congress? They would be actually, sort of defying what the people of Karnataka have said. So, I think that they will have to reach some kind of a compromise. And hopefully the Congress High Command will, be mature enough to sort out something.
Let me just ask Shama a little bit more about this. Shama, things have, let's face it, gone dreadfully wrong when it comes to leadership. We've seen the problems in Punjab earlier on. We've seen the problems in Rajasthan presently and other states as well. It's just one of those issues that the Congress party in various states for different reasons hasn't been able to crack. I think Aarti makes an important point when she says that there may not be a rebellion as it were now, but down the road, if, for example, a DK Shivakumar is not made chief minister, there may be problems. So how does the Congress party actually deal with that? Because at the end of the day, you are dealing with egos and personalities.
Okay, first I want to thank the captain of being such a gracious spokesperson. After a long time, I'm meeting somebody in the Bharatiya Janata Party who is so gentle and nice. I must thank you, because it's always been war out here. See, let's understand one thing. DK has come from grassroots politics, and all those people you have mentioned here, from Jyoti and all, have got everything very quickly early on in life, right? So DK has struggled and come up, and like Aarti says, there will be no rebellion. Let me assure you that. And you must give us time. I fail to understand what is this pressure on us. You must give us time. There was time given to the Bharatiya Janata Party. I've never seen, it's a very strange thing. Before 2014, we were questioned, being in the government, for everything. After 2014, we are in opposition. There is such scrutiny on us. We want a great decision to come out, because the people of Karnataka have put a lot of faith in us and has given us a great mandate after 35 years. And we have to understand, one of the most important thing about this campaign is how Mr. Modi wanted to create, or the Bharatiya Janata wanted to create a laboratory, a hate laboratory in Karnataka, from love jihad to hijab to cow slaughter issues, Bajrang Bali, and of course, being from Kerala, using the Kerala story. I mean, the Prime Minister of India was using the Kerala story story. You know, when I was in Kerala yesterday, I was there, and you know what? Most of them, I met my cadres. They're waiting for the oath-taking ceremony in Karnataka. They are so excited with this victory because they felt very insulted by Mr. Narendra Modi using the Kerala story. So Keralites are emphatic. So this is a great moment for us. There are a lot of people who love DK Shivakumar as well as Siddaramaiah. We respect them. They are very senior leaders. They fought a battle together. That's what is admirable. Everybody said, you know what, there will be a lot of issues. You all will not win. I was even told, you know, Bharatiya Janata Party would come in at the end and win. But nothing like that happened because people wanted issues. We gave the 5 guarantees. We spoke on it. And we spoke on real issues like price-wise corruption and unemployment. But on the other side, they didn't have a narrative. You have to understand that.
Okay, let's move beyond the elections. I mean, it's over now, but
that's what I'm trying to tell you, that you also need to discuss why they lost there after the Prime Minister of India campaigning. I just saw Mr. Bomai's interview. He's saying, I'm taking responsibility. Why should Mr. Bomai take responsibility? Responsibility which should be taken by Mr. Narendra Modi, because victory
it's up to him
is
to
always
also
Mr.
take
Narendra Modi.
responsibility.
Loss is not with Mr. Narendra Modi. And the other thing is, Mr. Yedurappa and Mr. Bomai also had a lot of problems. A lot of Lingaites in Karnataka did not like that.
Okay,
When the
Shaba, today we are talking
out.
about the Congress party. I think the BJP has lost the election, so we can keep them out of it for now.
Yeah, but I'm saying we don't need to discuss this because we will come to a conclusion.
I am discussing this. I think the whole
We will come to a conclusion. It's not a big deal.
Okay,
you know,
okay,
I really understand this thing on the focus on the Congress party all the time, and also trying to find, this victory, there will be a fight now. Come on, be happy. The Congress has won a big mandate. Now we want to give these 5 guarantees to people who want to take care of people.
No, which is exactly why there needs to be a government in place.
And it's just 2 days. Vishnu.
Okay, half a second.
Ahead. Come on.
Veera Raghav, how does the entire issue of support for either side actually work? On what basis does Siddaramaiah have to say that he has the support? What about DK Shivakumar? On what basis does he say that he's got more support? Is there any way of actually knowing one way or the other who is more supported?
Vishnu, at 135 seats, I think the party high command has a huge say in this matter.
Yeah.
There may be loyalists for Siddaramaiah, there may be loyalists for DK Shivakumar, but there are also party loyalists who will go whichever way the party high command decides. And I don't think at 135 seats, rebellion is the big issue that the Congress is looking at least right now. I think it's a battle of wits at the moment. And I think the high command is also playing, catering to both the egos. They don't want to enforce the decision. They want to take this through the process of discussion. It may take a little time, but I think that's the sense that one is getting, that there is no imposition of a decision on either side. Siddaramaiah, as the larger mass leader, and it's been told across the board that is the front runner, but it cannot be an enforced decision on the other party. And I think it's still a question of whether DK Shivakumar relents. If he does, then what does he want? That's going to be the way this process is going to work. And I think yesterday I spoke to a very senior Congress leader. When I asked him, is it all going to be over in 24, 48 hours? He said the BJP took a long time to even form its own cabinet. So why are you in a hurry? So I think the sense within the Congress is they're not in a tearing hurry. They want to make sure that the optics are right on this and there is a consensus decision that's taken with all parties on board.
Manisha Priyam, what if DK Shivakumar, and this was a theory doing the rounds earlier on today, says that, okay, fine, if I'm not made Chief Minister, I will of course remain in the Congress party, but I will be just an ordinary MLA, right? An ordinary MLA, in other words, going into a sulk. What are the implications of that?
That will be, this scenario will be as close to a sulk as possible, as close to a rebellion that DK Shivakumar will go. I think the only scenario can be of settlement for DK can be that he accepts to be Deputy Chief Minister without any other second person. Now that brings a dilemma for the Congress. Remember, both of them are from the old Mysore region. So you can't have Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar, one in charge, the second deputy, no other face. So for the Congress, the options are very few. I mean, either they have a Siddaramaiah at the top with 2 deputy chief ministers, ideally one of which will be DK Shivakumar, the second would possibly be a Dalit face. That's the most representational and inclusive theoretical picture of a leadership model. There's no way in which the announcement of a rotational model will go down well with the electorate. Remember, at this point of time, the Congress party has just spoken to the people. It's got into the chair, it's got into the office by telling the poorest people of Karnataka, we will take these decisions about your guarantees in our very first cabinet meeting. So till the time that the chief minister is selected and the cabinet is sworn in, this is still election mode for the Congress. Their promises, their guarantees need to be fulfilled, and they need to clear out the script before anyone else can. This is a vote that is really a sweeping vote across regions. It's a vote where the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, women have voted in large numbers. The cabinet and the key leadership needs to look representative and inclusive. Now, if they take only Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar, we can't have a government for the old Mysore region ruling all of Karnataka.
Sure.
So for the Congress party, the options are very few, and it will have to get Mr. Shivakumar to accept this. Or the second option can be that Siddaramaiah is taken on as a leader if he accepts, and DK Shivakumar is given the chair with 2 deputies under him. That could be an unlikely second order choice.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. My colleague Veera Raghav spoke to the former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai to get an idea of why he felt or what he felt were some of the reasons why the BJP failed in the state. Listen in.
Joining me now is outgoing Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, who led the Bharatiya Janata Party's campaign from the front. A disappointing defeat for him. But, sir, what is perhaps the lesson that you learned from this personally and politically from the results?
See, basically, the people were swayed away by freebies, number one. Number two, personally, I feel that Congress were more organized and started earlier, which otherwise BJP used to do. And we took our decisions little late. And the campaign, the narration, which were we are supposed to be in the forefront, we could not. So the right messaging didn't go to the people. And our programs, even though they reached, the narration should have been set in. Some of our major decisions were also not reached the people. However, it was a hard-fought battle, and if you look into the vote shares, there is no much difference. But it didn't convert us the seats. And the second major factor is that our penetration in southern Karnataka helped Congress, where JDS had a strong hold, and we were able to penetrate most of the JDS areas, which helped the Congress otherwise. 5% of JDS shifted to Congress. So these two factors really helped Congress.
So going forward, as BJP prepares to be an opposition party, what do you think are the core lessons for the party? One of the reasons why I'm asking you this question is that there was a sense that there were many different decision makers in the BJP in these elections. One set from Delhi, there was pressures from several state leaders. Is there one person above all that you believe, I know you've taken responsibility, one person above all you think is responsible for the defeat, and perhaps something the party needs to change as it goes forward?
As you yourself said, I had led it from the front. And I take the entire blame. I don't want to blame any other person. Whatever might have happened, but ultimately the leader has to take a blame. Then only things can move on, improve. We have to recognize our mistakes, do the course correction, and we have to go forward. The major thing is that we have to do the party, prepare it quite early for Lok Sabha, and then we have to bring in some new blood and new thinking at all levels, and we have to regenerate our workers, and probably within next 3 to 6 months things will be changing and will favoring us. And especially it's a Lok Sabha election, and it will be Prime Minister at the helm of affairs, and without any much leader of credibility in the opposition, will also play an important role. But however, to convert that goodwill into this thing, we have to learn a lesson from assembly, start it early, more well-oiled party machinery, and with all full steam and full commitment, you have to go ahead.
What about the leader of opposition's post? Now that's going to be the next pick, this one. Do you see that for yourself? How do you see this? How do you see BJP as an opposition party now?
See, as a responsible man, I don't go by the post. Whether the leader of opposition is given to me or somebody else. The overall responsibility is on me. I'm being a chief minister for nearly almost 2 years and given so many good programs. It is for me to take it up once again to the people. And I'm sure people of Karnataka have been making a difference between Lok Sabha and this state elections. When Ramakrishna Gade lost in 83, 84, we came back. In 2013, we lost much badly than this. We came back in 2014. So we are expecting that we'll come back in 2014. Whatever the role will be given by the party, otherwise also, I'll take up a lot of responsibility and I'll go to the people.
All right, Vasav Raj Bommai, they're taking responsibility for the BJP's election loss in Karnataka. We are going to take a short break up after that. It's a debate which is restarted after a certain number of screens were shut down by the PVR Inox group. The question on OTT platforms versus theatres, cinema halls has restarted, has reopened. I'll be joined by Ajay Bijli of PVR Inox in the next few minutes. Welcome back. The easy availability of OTT or video on demand on our television sets and the dramatic growth of the sector in India has led many to believe that the days of going to cinema halls in the country may be coming to an end. Really depends though on who you ask. But yes, the growth of OTT platforms and the size of the segment in India has been stratospheric. Consolidation of companies which have brought us cinemas and theatres, namely the PVR Inox group, now means that several old screens will be shut down, but also new ones will be open. But it's the quarterly numbers of PVR Inox, the merged entity, that is a cause of concern. The multiplex chain has reported a loss of 333 crores. Why exactly is that happening now? Joining us, I spoke in fact earlier today to Ajay Bijli, the MD of PVR Inox, a maverick in this industry. Joining us now, Ajay Bijli, the MD of PVR Inox, a maverick in this industry. Thanks very much, Mr. Bijli, for being with us. I confess right on my immediate bias. I prefer going to a theatre any day. So much for unbiased journalism. But be that as it may, why is it that you've had this huge 333 crore first quarter loss?
It's the fourth quarter, Vishnu. First of all, please call me Ajay.
Right.
Well, it's the fourth quarter of last year, and it was a very volatile year. It's only been about 12 months since the pandemic, and pandemic really had us completely on the ground. As you know, it was a body blow, a coup de grace, which the industry had never experienced before. So it took time for everybody. So India has always been, the demand side and the supply side have been the best in the world. We make the highest number of movies and we have the highest visitations to the cinemas. But this black swan event really impacted both the supply side and the demand side. So it's like if somebody gets a severe injury, it takes time for him to recoup. So last year has been of that, but this year is looking very good. We've started the year April, May, June on some good movies. There's a good momentum even in July, August. So this loss is attributable to the volatility that we experienced last year. And it was a very strange year, Vishnu. What we had is either the peaks were very, very high. So you had like RRR, KGF, Avatar 2 and Pathan, which performed even better than anything ever did pre-COVID, barring Bahubali 2, which was an aberration. But if you take Bahubali 2 out of the equation, all movies have performed better than ever in every category. but then the peaks, the valleys were very low as well. So if a movie did not connect with the consumer, the dip was very low. So therefore, that equilibrium that we used to get pre-COVID did not come in the first 12 months. But now we are seeing that it's a momentum business. Every week some movie comes out, 2 or 3, 4 films come out. People see the trailers and they come out. So I think we are back on track now. This loss also is because of some extraordinary expenditures which were merger related. So merger related expenditures, there are a lot of accounting rules and there are one-off expenditures. If my CFO was on this call as well, he would have probably explained it better, which are there, impairment charges. That's one expenditure which has brought the loss very high. Second is that we shut down about 50 odd cinemas. Yes. And we shut them down simply because the life of those cinemas was over. So a lot of our cinemas are in malls. So if malls themselves start closing down and they become less attractive, then there is no point carrying on with the leases, because we are all leased properties and the leases also come to a life cycle end. So
but Ajay, how many people have ended up losing their jobs as a result of these 50 screens being shut down?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the number of jobs that we create every year. 200 screens we add. So but they won't lose their job, they'll get adjusted to the new properties. Because if you go deep into it, for example, Lucknow, we've got almost 80 screens now, but there were some very old properties which were just completely getting decrepit. And also sometimes there's an alternative use for the developer. He can do something else on that property. So we can't really force them to extend the lease as well. But none of these guys are going to lose their jobs. There's plenty of growth happening.
That's important, and that's good news, because in this market, you are going to absorb them in another part of your enterprise. But I think it's also interesting that you're setting up to 175 additional screens. Why would you do this at a time when, let's face it, OTT is a rage and, it is doing phenomenally well?
So OTT, I think the conversation about OTT has also gone over the top now, because that is one form of content consumption, which the avatar has changed. So it was a TV, then it became LDs and DVDs and VHS. Maybe I'm not saying it in the right order. Then satellite became very big, and now OTT has come. But long form storytelling is what is very popular in OTT, not movies. And we are all about movies. So during the pandemic, of course, the windows, which is the gap between the theatrical release and the OTT release, collapsed because we were shut. So therefore, certain movies went to the OTT platforms. But now if you look at it, all the shows that all of us watch, even I'm a big fan of some of the TV shows that come, some brilliant one I was watching last night. I'm forgetting the name of Sonakshi Sinha's program. But basically, long form entertainment is what people watch at home, where 13 episodes, season 1, season 2, they get unfolded and we all love it. But when you want a quick fix and you want something experiential out of home, then they go and watch movies. So this is the way it was happening pre-pandemic, and this is the way it's going to happen post-pandemic as well. And so the same consumer, you and I, we have different habits. We can put our feet up and watch something at home, and at the same time, on the weekend when our discretionary time is more, we can go out and watch movies. And that's always been the trend, and that's always been something that's been going on for a long time, and it's coming back again. So this week, for example, we had Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast and the Furious is coming next week. Then we have Adi Purush, we have Flash, we have another big movie coming, I'm forgetting. It's just crossing, Transformers, lots of films are coming. Jawan is coming. Kerala Story was a big sleeper hit. That's done very well, already touched about 150 odd crores. So people are coming out. And at the same time, OTT platforms are doing well. So both have always coexisted, and they'll continue to coexist. It's not an either or discussion, a binary discussion at all.
So you wouldn't agree with the argument that the cost of a ticket to see a movie in a multiplex is more than the cost of what many subscribers would pay for an OTT platform all year? And no, therefore that would be less attractive.
No, the cost is definitely more, because the experience, there's a lot of infrastructure behind showing a movies on the big screen.
Sure.
And so that's what, but fortunately, we got 141 million people visited our cinemas last year, and our average ticket was 220 rupees. So that's our ATP. So a lot of people who live in urban cities, they go to maybe Director's Cut in Vasant Kunj, or they'll go to DLF Promenade, or they'll go to Juhu or Koramangala in Bangalore. So they take that as the average ticket price. That's not the average ticket price. So our India is a very disparate market, and our circuit is very disparate. So our ticket prices range from anything from 100 rupees to as high as 2,000 rupees, because we want to get everybody out of their homes, even even those who've got their home theaters at home. So, but if you take the average ATP of PVR INOX put together, it's about little over $200.
Are you decisively out of COVID, and which hit your industry terribly?
Look, to be honest with you, airlines, hospitality and cinemas are the three sectors that got impacted the most. We have taken the longest to recover. There's no question about it. So it's taking longer than the other sectors. But as I said, this particular year, after the last quarter, has started very well. And even last year, some of the things have completely made us feel very optimistic, because there's no reason why these movies would have reached sky high figures if people did not have the appetite to come out and watch movies, because they were tired of being at home. And it's a very natural thing for Indian consumers, at least, to go out and watch movies. And that's what I find the Indian market very, very exciting, because both the supply side and the demand side is very strong.
You are banking obviously on the success of films and big releases, and you are confident that, let's talk about Bollywood, that and even our southern film industry, this year 2023, you've got enough to bank on to be profitable by the time we speak this time next year?
Absolutely. I'm confident because some incredible scripts are being written. The supply side producers haven't seen these kind of results ever. So when they release a movie on OTT, it's cost plus.
Yes.
So there's a cap to how much they can earn. But when it comes to theatrical release, if the movie connects with the audiences, there is no cap. It can go to any level. So for economic reasons as well, the supply side, which is the film fraternity, is very excited to bring the movies back onto the big screen. And I'm also not just banking on mega blockbusters. I gave you the example of lot of these Ayushman Khurrana movies that used to come pre-COVID. There's a huge lineup of these smaller movies as well. And small movies are not defined by the budget. Small movies are defined by how they do at the box office. Right. So these sleeper hits are the ones which used to really get us excited. And I see a huge lineup of the sleeper hits as well this time. Smaller movies which will connect with the consumer.
What about footfalls inside multiplexes? Can you share some trends with us this year?
Well, last year has not been, Vishnu, very good. As I said, pre-COVID, combined entity did about 180 million people, 18 crores, but we did about 14 crores in this particular year. So there has been a shortfall. But now, April onwards, we're looking at almost a crore this month, a crore and 30 in May, a crore and 40, so which is very healthy. So we're looking on track to get about 18 crore roughly, or 180 million people this year.
All right, Ajay, it's been wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much, and let's hope that people get back in the volumes that you all seek. There is nothing that really replaces the movie-going experience. Thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, so OTT versus the cinema-going experience. Where exactly is India headed? We've got a fantastic panel now. Manish Kalra is the Chief Business Officer at Z5. Suresh Menon is the co-founder of One Network Entertainment. We've got Shailesh Kapoor, the founder and CEO of Omax Media, and Karun Torani, the Senior Vice President and a research analyst with Elara Capital. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Manish Kalra, let me come to you first. Given the phenomenal numbers that we are seeing on OTT, do you believe it's just a matter of time before OTT effectively replaces the cinema-going experience?
I think, Vishnu, I don't agree with that statement. It is that both the formats will coexist. It's just the consumer. They go to cinema to get an experience of the entire big screen. It's an outing with the family, and they get to eat and do some shopping. However, in case of OTTs, obviously they're at the comfort of their home and they're more convenient. So both formats will coexist. It's the consumer who will be the winner. They'll have more choices to watch the content, and they will be kind of getting more and more entertained with good quality content. but it will never be either or scenario.
Suresh Menon, considering the fact that for the cost of a multiplex ticket, so many consumers in our country can buy a year's subscription to an OTT platform, ultimately won't economics decide the film going experience, whether it's at home or going to a cinema hall?
It's completely dependent on the choice of the consumers. For example, I was just hearing Ajay speak, and I want to tell him that I've been visiting PVR regularly, but on the expensive side tickets, and I've always found that they do have a range for people to come and enjoy the experience. Theatre going has become an experience nowadays, and people do look at it as a weekend experience, or where hit films are concerned, people do go and watch them. The advantage of having OTTs in our lives is that we can consume most of the content that is put out in the universe. So what we miss in the theaters, we watch it on OTT. So the watching experience is different in both the ends of the spectrum. But if you look at it in a way, what is good for the consumer, I think the consumer has got the best of both the worlds. And I'm very glad that COVID has finally left us, according to UN at least. And people have started going back to theaters. And I just recently went to the theater to see Avengers on the expensive side of the tickets on a weekday. So it was nice, cool and empty for sure. Me and my son enjoyed the experience in the theater. We saw the theater crowded. There was no crowd over there. People were there. And of course, we came back home, and since the vacations are on, we consumed some more content over OTT. So I think as consumers, we are going to only one danger, that we may become too lazy, or we have got too much to watch. Like this wig over here, we've got so much of things to watch, and the choice is ours. So I'm just picking this up. So that's where, you have got some, as long as you've got clean entertainment, you're going to enjoy yourself.
Karan, just the statistics, the numbers are truly incredible, aren't they? When it comes to OTT, India is the second largest market now in the world. So in terms of where this part of the media and entertainment industry is headed, it's just phenomenal, isn't it?
Hi, Vishnu. Definitely, the India OTT market, is going phenomenally well. Too many things are happening here around sports, around short form video content, around aggregation, around web series, around regional penetration opportunities, smartphones. So the demographics are just perfect, for the India OTT market to do well over the next 2 years. But as far as cinema is concerned, there's a belief here that cinema definitely could coexist, over the medium to long term. But it all depends in terms of how the content pans out. So if you look at what has happened in the post-COVID era, there has been a big shift in terms of the customer consumption trends. They've been exposed to regional content. They've been exposed to regional stars. They've done a catch-up of a lot of these dub films which have come on OTT platforms. So if you provide them the Hindi content, which is a remake of the regional films, they will not go and watch it into cinemas. So I think a lot of supply of content needs to change strategically. And if you look at the film content business, it's always been cyclical. I mean, we've had these cycles wherein we've seen a shift in terms of the stars which are coming. The current trend, of course, is very exciting. It could even lead in a very big positive way because, South stars have seen very big acceptance in North, right? It's a matter of time that even the North stars see some kind of acceptance in the South market. So there's an opportunity to scale up. There's an opportunity to go global as well as far as content is concerned. But whether or not we'll get back to those growth rates of 15-20% for the exhibition industry, that is a big question mark. Because footfalls are a clear concern. Cinema operating business is of high operating leverage, a large chunk of fixed costs. So if you don't get the footfalls back on track, you will see these losses actually continue to mount. So I think it's going to be each one to its own. But as far as OTT is concerned, they've actually spoiled the market. And, it's been almost 4 quarters now that, cinemas have opened up with full occupancy and without restrictions. Of course, one reason to blame here is content. But it is also the frequency, the habit of the customer, which has kind of changed in the post-COVID era. And some of the trends are here to sustain for sure. So there has to be some kind of realignment, whether it could be the cost base, whether it could be the supply of content, whether it could be some innovation on cinema, if they were to really come back to pre-COVID levels.
Shailesh, would you agree that ultimately you're going to get people out of their homes only if that film or the movie is something incredible? It offers an experience which people will not get if they just switch on their television and watch. I mean, we all watch now on high definition, so that's one thing out of the way. But for a film to be absolutely incredible, for example, a Pathan or an Avatar or a Top Gun 3, those films don't often come, right? And therefore, if they don't always come, is that problematic for the cinema industry, for the
Vishnu,
multiplex industry?
yeah. So Vishnu, what has happened in the last 2 years because of the pandemic is that the bigger films have got bigger. So the share of the top 10 films before pandemic was around 40%. So in a typical year like 2019, the top 10 films would contribute around 40-45% of the box office. In 2021, they contributed as high as 65-70%. But then they have gone to do much bigger than the bigger films pre-pandemic. So in a way, we are seeing a polarization. So I don't necessarily agree with what Ajay said earlier that the Ayushman kind of sleeper hits would be the way forward as well. I think those are the ones which will really struggle and go to OTT, and that's fine because that's where an audience is ready for them. But it is the Pathan, which is the biggest Hindi film in terms of box office of all time, KGF, RRR, Avatar, which are getting bigger than what equivalent films used to be in 2018-19. So in a way, we are seeing polarization, and we are seeing that the bigger ones are bigger, but the smaller ones are completely getting marginalized. And I think that is the nature of the medium in Hollywood. This has been happening for a few years. The franchise and the superhero big ticket films are pretty much the top 10-20 films every year. So I think we may just, in a way, be following the West. Pandemic may have just accelerated that process. But it's a global trend that cinema is about big screen experience and about going out with people you want to hang out with. Yeah. And more intimate viewing is at the home.
Manish, let me ask you, are you concerned going forward that at the government proposal that OTT platforms will be brought under the film certification system, in other words, the censor board? Does that mean that the nature of content is going to change for you and me when we go home and watch something on a platform?
I think, Vishnu, the advantage with OTTs is like, as a consumer, I get to make a choice on what I want to watch. If I want to watch more proactive, forward-looking content, I have the choice. Now, till now, what the government has done is they've allowed us to self-regulate. And there's a consumer redressal forum, which is working very fine. We would not recommend having a strict public viewing guideline like a censor board, which is for when you're watching something in public with others around you. OTT gives you the privacy, OTT gives you the convenience, you can be at your home watching things on your mobile phone. So that's a choice that should be with the consumer. I think treating every medium like together when one paintbrush format will not work. But obviously, we are realizing that government is very open. People at the regulatory center are very, very open, and they're open to ideas, and they're having discussions with us, with our experts on what do we need to for the industry to grow and what's best for the consumer. So I am sure people at the center will realize and things will fall into place. But yes, having a strict common paintbrush approach will not work for OTTs and any other industry.
Suresh, how do you see this entire issue? Because we are in a country where this culture of wanting to ban for various political purposes, etc., seems so dominant. Every new film that comes out, for example, there's a problem. Now, that often targets the cinema halls. It doesn't target as much so far as OTT platforms, though there have been concerns raised on a couple of occasions. But do you believe that going forward, if films or whatever it is on OTT platforms are brought under the censor board, then it's not going to be the same as it is now?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the truth. But if anyone is trying to control anything on the internet, I feel whatever you want to watch is anyways available on the net, and people are just fooling themselves when they say that we can bring some sort of regulatory rules in this consumption of content. Content is freely available on the net, and there is no stopping that. So, firstly, regulations are the most important thing for parents at home when they are controlling their kids from watching a certain program. But getting this under the review of censor board would make it a little bit more tougher for people to make content which are slightly edgy at times. And yes, there have been a lot of talks about banning things and hartals and all that stuff. So to avoid that, maybe some sort of sanity has to be there within the creators and makers for sure. So nobody wants to lose out on anything. Because a lot of times what people forget, when you ban a film, when you ban a project, people who suffer are not the actors that you're going behind, not the producers that you're going behind. It is the least common denominator, the guy who's working as a chaiwal on the set, the guy who's working as a set guy on the set, the electrician on the set, those guys are the one who suffer really a lot, and they were nowhere to go after this. They're not qualified like others to, it's easy for a lot of people to be armchair, to be sitting on their chairs and then banning, content. But there's a bigger story to it than just banning things. There has to be regulation for sure. I do agree with that. But if you get this too strictly onto OTTs, then there's going to be an issue of putting out content for sure. I think self-regulation is the best part. And let people tell their stories. After all, people are telling stories. So let them tell their stories. If you like it, you see it. If you don't like it, don't see it. It's still, the remote control is in your hand. And even
but it would become a
theaters
problem if censorship actually drives producers to not make the movies that they want to make, because they realize that it's just not possible for them to necessarily be as successful as they would be in a system which is somewhat less unregulated as it is now. Look, we're running out of time on this, but I think I do take away the point that the cinema going experience, at least for now, will remain, and that OTT platforms are here to stay as well. But certainly the financial dynamics of cinemas is under stress at a time when the OTT industry has grown at the level at which it has. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. We're out of time on Left, Right and Centre. From all of us here, good night.